Assalamualaikum and good day, Doctor. We are from Gutsi would like to present about wastewater treatment for rubber processing. Natural rubber processing sector is an industry which produces raw material used for the manufacture of rubber industrial product, automotive product, latex product and many kinds of adhesive. The major user of natural rubber and tire are footwear industry. However, the rubber industry development should pay attention to the impact on the environment. The rubber wastewater is problematic because of the high chemical oxygen demand (COD) content. Rubber industry consumes a large volume of water, use chemical and other utilities and produce enormous amount of water and effluents. Discharge of untreated rubber effluent to waterway result in water pollution that affect the human health. With a new global trend to a sustainable development, the industry needs to focus on cleaner production technology. Wastewater minimization, utilization of wastewater, resource recovery and recycling of water. The present work aims at highlighting various technologies that currently have been used for treatment of rubber effluent in Malaysia. Why treatment of such process needed? According to Department of Environment, one of the biggest sources of industrial water pollution in Malaysia are rubber processing. Another serious threat of rubber wastewater to environmental protection is high concentration of nitrogen in these effluents. It contributes to undesirable eutrophication and economic loss. Methemoglobinemia in infants, increased oxygen and chemical demand and affect the paddy field. Other than that, application of sulfuric acid in the coagulation of skin latex result in production of high level of sulfate in the effluent of rubber processing factory. The high level of hydrogen sulfide will liberate to the environmental and cause malodor problems. The free H2S also inhibit the digestion process, which give lower organic removal efficiency. The odor are detectable even at extremely low concentration and make water unpalatable for the several hundred miles downstream from the rubber processing factory.
Typical treatment process and mechanism. Vita Bio treatment process is an example of the rubber wastewater treatment that features a basic inter-aerobic tank B which could periodically function under micro anaerobic and aerobic conditions depending on the amount of oxygen pumped into the system. These are the major steps involved in the rubber wastewater treatment process of Vita Bio. Firstly, the pump aerated wastewater is treated in the tank A1 and the flow over water is continuously treated in the tank A2. In this stage, some of the formalin materials are oxidized and some of them are also absorbed by the sludge in the aeration tank. Next, through the periodical aerobic and anaerobic operation, the microorganism digest the chemical and or release them, while the decomposition speed can be greatly improved. Thus, this operation procedure can have much better effective performance than single aerobic or single anaerobic operation procedure, and it also shows better efficiency. The third stage is collect solid materials through sedimentation process and provide activated sludge into the inter-aerobic tank and aeration tank. This sludge is recycled back into the inter-aerobic tank for further process, and the extra of the sludge is pumped into the aeration tank for the oxidization process. Then, the wastewater from sediment tank passes through the screen filter and enters to the second treatment operation. By controlling the amount of oxygen supply, the tank can be in the mode of aerobic and anaerobic operation sequentially. After this treatment, the water passes through a screen filter for discharge. Ozonation and ultrafiltration system are other effective methods that commonly used in Malaysia and Thailand for rubber wastewater treatment. Ozonation transforms irrefractory or poorly degradable organic materials like ammonia nitrogen of natural rubber wastewater into byproduct with smaller molecular size. Ultrafiltration system is a pressure-driven process that uses a membrane to remove emulsions, dispersed material, suspended solid, and other large molecular weight materials from wastewater, coolant, and other solutions.
Good day, Doctor. For my slide, I'm going to present about the challenge in achieving the standard limit by the authorities. In Malaysia, we have a government authority, Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara, SPAN, that has the law for sewage and industrial effluent. Effluent discharge standard is based on Environmental Quality Regulation Action 1974. The discharge of sewage must contain substance that has a lower concentration than the limit for Standard A and Standard B. Standard A is applicable to discharge into the any water within the catchment area or known as upstream area, while for the Standard B is applicable to discharge into the inland water or Malaysia water, also known as a downstream area. There are parameter limits set by the SPAN. The main parameter is COD, POD, pH, solid suspended, and total solid suspended. However, there are challenges in achieving the standard limit. When the natural rubber discharged from the production line to the public drain or river, it usually contains the high level of COD, POD, pH, solid suspended, and total solid suspended, which will exceed the limit of discharge standard under the Environmental Quality Regulation Action 1974. The rubber processing discharge of COD and BOD is ranged from 20 ppm to approximately 200 ppm that will lead to the water pollutant. For the pH level, rubber processing is basically acidic in the nature. So generally, the pH of water formed is higher than actual requirement. Solid suspended is a metal dissolved in the wastewater. This relates to the both specific conductance and turbidity. In this case, the water temperature will increase due to the particle absorb heat from the sunlight, and the dissolved oxygen in the water will be decreased. Total solid suspended are the solid in the water such as clay, decaying plant or animal. The high level of total solid suspended will decrease the amount of light passing through the water. The rate of photosynthesis will slow down, and less oxygen will release into the water. Both solid suspended and total solid suspended will affect the marine life that will lead to death.
Currently, there are several methods that are used in Malaysia to treat rubber wastewater. But in order to fulfill the future generations needed, some future way forwards in advancing technology must be done. There are some methods that we can use for future wastewater treatment. For example, biological method, chemical method, and also natural process. The first method is biological. In this method, we use Azolla algae, which is free-floating water plants. It is assessed as phosphorus and nitrogen removal in outdoor sewage water. There are a lot of advantages by using this method. For example, it has leaf cavities containing symbiotic and heterocyst forming. For your information, heterocyst is a specialized nitrogen fixing cells. Because of its capability of nitrogen fixing, it is also used as grain manure in rice fields. The next advantage of using this method is it has high growth rate. It will grow like a green mat at the surface of the water. Because of its high growth rate, it will increase the nutrients removal efficiency. This method also has a low-cost wastewater treatment. At the bottom of the slide, we can see that the example of the ponds that use algae, Azolla algae as treatment at Mardek, which is rubber processing facilities at Kuala Berang, Hulu Terengganu. Next, using chemical method in advancing the wastewater treatment. In this method, we use in situ hypochlorous acid. Certain research state that some chemical treatment does not successful because of variation in wastewater strength and also due to the existence of toxic material. So, the best alternative method is to generate hypochlorous acid to perform electrolytic process. This electrolytic cell, including of graphite as anode and stainless sheets as cathode. The reaction between the anode and cathode will provide the hypochlorous acid. The hypochlorous acid will act as oxidizing agent to dispose the organic material in the rubber wastewater. The last one is the construction of wetlands for wastewater treatment. This is known as natural process. This system consists of vertical flow constructed wetlands followed by subsurface flow constructed wetlands with nut grass plantation. This picture gives us the example of the wetlands construction. At the top, we can see the nut grass plantation, and at the bottom, you can see the subsurface flow constructed wetlands. It is filled with 3 layers, which is the first layer filled with sand, and the second layer is fine gravel, and the last layer is coarse gravel. This type of treatment also have a lot of advantages. For example, it removes nutrients, suspended solids, organic compounds, and metallic ions. Besides, it also increases the oxygen level in the wastewater. Furthermore, this type of treatment also is a low-cost treatment. In conclusion, some research are still ongoing in order to find any alternative ways to treat the water. As our economy grows faster, we must not forget about our surroundings. It is very important for us to keep the water clean in order to fulfill the future generations needed and also to maintain our ecosystem service. This is our references. That's all from us. Thank you and stay safe.